Hey everybody, it's your boy Captain Hunter, and or Dr. L. So I really appreciate you guys checking out this video here. So we're going to jump into it today. So we're going to talk about some lies and interference and what goes on within law enforcement and some of the large problems that we have within law enforcement in getting things done, things accomplished, and all that. So I wrote a book. Where the heck is my book? Anyway, I wrote a book about re-examining the criminal justice system and kind of redoing it and doing some reforming and things along those lines. And why I can't find it is really going to bother me now. That's I get something stuck in my mind. I just can't get it out. Anyway, so I want to talk about some of these things that isn't talked about. A lot of times we talked about fixing law enforcement. We don't focus enough on fixing the other elements within law enforcement, and that is in particular when we take a look at cases of prosecutorial misabuse, or another one is sometimes the medical examiners in which they misdiagnose persons or just go along with the narrative that were given to them, or just go along with the narrative that is given to them by law enforcement. This person died. We had to. This person was, I don't know, ran over by a car. And things along those lines. And meanwhile, the true measure about what they died from was was police brutality. A classic case of this, and a classic case of this when we take a look at the George Floyd. I just saw somebody just the other day still claiming that George Floyd died of a drug overdose. And it's really just unbelievable and sad that there are still people out there who believe this type of nonsense. I'm not saying he didn't have drugs in the system. I'm not saying that any toxicology reports have been falsified or outright lies. But I am saying that we clearly saw a 9+ minute video of this man having his neck compressed by a police officer's knee. There was no need for any of that. No need for any of that. All right, so we're going to get into it. The first story that we got today is we're going to take a look at this prosecutor from the Haman Arbey case. The Haman Arbey case is a situation wherein the guy was down in Georgia, I believe, and a couple of good old boys didn't like him walking around the neighborhood or running through the neighborhood, exercising or peeking into buildings under construction or whatever they thought was going on. So they took it upon themselves to act like the good old boys that their pappies and their grandpappies had told them about, in which they would just round up a posse and just go handle business and take this guy to the authorities or teach him a lesson or whatever they thought they were going to do. So that's the case, and that's the scenario that we're going to examine for today. And in this particular case, I talked about this at length, in which the prosecutor was interfering. She had connections to these individuals, and one of the guys who was involved in this had worked in her office. So we're gonna dive into that just a little bit here. So let's take a look and let's just watch this video here. Let's get a clearer picture as to what we're talking about.
To be indicted by a grand jury in 2021, former Brunswick District Attorney Jackie Johnson was in court today ahead of her January trial.
Johnson is charged with interfering with the 2020 police investigation of the killing of Haman Arbey. She's accused of using her power as a high-profile prosecutor in Glynn County to help Greg McMichael and his son Travis McMichael, who are both now serving life sentences. Our Christina Burgess is joining us right now. And Christina, let's talk about what happened in court today.
Yeah, guys, well, both the prosecution and defense argued about what evidence they want to be used in the January trial. They disagreed about the use of Jackie Johnson's past prosecutions, her status as a high-profile former prosecutor, and the Attorney General's involvement in this upcoming trial.
Former Brunswick District Attorney Jackie Johnson appeared in front of a judge for the first time since being charged by a grand jury in 2021. Johnson is accused of using her power to protect Greg McMichael and his son Travis McMichael by urging police not to arrest Travis after he fatally shot 25-year-old Haman Arbey in 2020. During Wednesday's hearing, the prosecution asked the judge to not allow the defense to use any of Jackie Johnson's high-profile cases or electoral successes in the trial. Her lead defense attorney, Brian Steele, pushing back.
There's no prejudice, and it's part of the life of Ms. Johnson, and we anticipate bringing in the fact that she was appointed by then Governor Sonny Perdue. We're not doing it for popularity. We're doing it because that's characteristics of her life.
In another motion, Johnson's defense asked the judge to disqualify Georgia Attorney General Chris Carr, since he wants to call Carr as a witness in January.
I don't believe that it is within the law to allow a prosecutor or any lawyer to also be a witness, and it's a material witness in the case.
The prosecution disagreed.
You can't just subpoena the constitutional officer and put them on the witness stand. There are certain protections to that.
Judge John R. Turner didn't issue any ruling in court Wednesday, but said he will have written orders on these motions by next week.
Jury selection for Johnson's trial is scheduled to start January 21st. Both the prosecution and defense told the judge they expect this case to take about 2.5 weeks. If convicted of violating her oath of office, she could face up to 5 years in prison. Christina Burgess, First Coast News, on your side.
So the more context of this particular case is that this lady, Jackie Johnson, she got a phone call from the lead detectives at the scene on this particular day and time, and the day of the Haman Arbey arrest or killing, and the police officers told her that they were ready to make this arrest. We got the information, we got what we need, we've done a preliminary investigation. We're ready to arrest these McMichael's boys, father and son. We're ready to do it. If what are your thoughts about it? And she said no. Now, there was a little bit more to this concerning what they reported right here, because she continued to write. There were letters that she had written, and she had forwarded us up the chain, and there was a lot of taking care of business, because the father. All right, so let's dive into this, so nobody's going to accuse me of not doing my homework here. So Haman Arbey was obviously killed in this back in 2020, same year that George Floyd died. Former DA charged for interfering in Haman Arbey case finally in court. This is from the Current, in-depth journalism for coastal Georgia. Jackie Johnson, the former Brunswick Attorney General, appeared in Wednesday in criminal court for the first time in 3 years to defend herself on charges of impeding the investigation of Haman Arbey's 2020 murder. Flanked by local police, law enforcement, yada yada, Johnson is accused of interfering in the investigation of Arbey's death. 3 men, of whom was her former investigator. Three men, one of whom was her former investigator at the DA's office, had been convicted of murdering the 25-year-old Brunswick man who was chased and killed while jogging in a predominantly white neighborhood in February 23rd, 2020. Johnson is accused of interfering in the investigation into Arbey's death. 3 men on September 2nd, 2021, a grand jury indicted her on charges of violating her oath of office as Brunswick Judicial Circuit District Attorney by allegedly directing officers not to arrest Travis McMichael, the son of her former employee Greg. So Greg's the father. In the Arbey case, she is also charged with handpicking the district attorney who would investigate Arbey's murder after she declared a conflict of interest in case. So I know that she was given a call. And she was given a call by the detectives on scene, and then she kicked it to somebody else. She said, "No, don't do anything." Kicked it to someone else, and she picked that person who that someone else would be. If she said, "It's I can't be me because I know this guy Greg. He used to work in my office. So have Johnny Jones do it, or whoever she had do it." Johnson arrived in court in similar attire as to when she was the top prosecutor, a pantsuit and a pearl necklace. She sat on the defense table at the right of the judge, while Georgia general attorney prosecutors were stationed to the left. Let's see if any of this is worth reading. So one of the big things that came up about this case, one of the big things, if you remember, what we just read about this particular case, is that they want to present information about her past. I think that's problematic, and I agree with the judge, with the prosecutor, that he doesn't want that type of stuff in. Of course, you're the defense attorney. You want it because you want to show what type of person she is, and her history, her record. You want to try to prejudice the jury, and that's the claim. That's what they're trying to do, is just prejudice the jury into her her background, her life, and what she's done for the community, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what we're all looking at there. All right, so that's that story. So we're gonna, we talk about criminal justice reform, and it's got to be part of it. The prosecutors have a lot of power as to who gets arrested, who gets charged, arrested, the amount of charges, the recommendations for how much time they get, all that kind of stuff. So I have a lot of power. So it's not that I'm gonna take them down. It's just that if we're going to instill trust in the CJ system, then it's got to start all over the place here. All right, so that's that. Let's go to the next story here. Is Tiffany Henyard. Speaking of corruption and all this kind of stuff, Tiffany Henyard, we're going to take a look at her story. Tiffany Henyard has a documentary coming up, so let's take a look into this.
Well, she's one of the most recognizable faces that's been on the news lately. Talking about the mayor of Dalton, Tiffany Henyard.
And all of social media.
Yes,
She's everywhere. Our very own Regina Waldrop has been following all the drama as it unfolds. And she's here with us to talk about a new documentary called Super Mayor, The Cost of Chaos in Dalton. Welcome, Regina. You've been in those streets reporting on this.
So much so that I even dream about this story.
Oh my God.
I am embedded in this community.
Is it a dream or a nightmare?
It's a little bit of both.
A little bit of both.
Wow.
Let's talk about the title of this, because it's called Super Mayor, and that is what Tiffany Henyard calls herself.
Tiffany Henyard started calling herself Super Mayor a few years ago. She is Township Supervisor of Thornton Township. She's also the Mayor of Dalton. Put them together, Super Mayor. And so 2 years ago, she started calling herself that, Super Mayor.
Wow.
Where did this all start?
At the beginning.
Yeah, start at the very beginning.
Why is she why is she on our TV screen so much?
Because she's accused of misusing taxpayer dollars. In the village of Dalton, not really a wealthy community. It's 90% African American, and a lot of money has been misused or alleged to have been misused by Tiffany Henyard. Signage is everywhere in this community. You won't see a lot of stores. You see a lot of boarded up buildings, but you also see a lot of billboards with her image. She even had a company put up these welcome signs with her picture on them and the title Super Mayor. Cost $12,000. This vendor has not been paid.
Wow.
Also, there have been credit cards, 6 credit cards in this community, used by someone to purchase things on Amazon, $40,000 in one day.
Wow. And she has a stylist who she's calling an assistant and using funds as well?
Through Thornton Township, some of my investigative work found that she does have a stylist, and she is paying him through township dollars, saying that he works for the township in some other capacity, but he called me and told me, yes, I am her stylist.
Wow. So she's also, I would say, very eclectic. She loves the camera. She's willing to say what she thinks.
This lady is off the chisane, and I guess they're doing a documentary. She is off the chain. Stylists and just misallocation, misappropriation of funds, all kind of crazy stuff this lady's got going on here, man.
Has this surprised you? How much the viewership has gravitated towards this woman? Like, people from all over the world are talking about her. It's not just Chicago.
It's funny you should mention that. I was in Alabama over the summer for a graduation, and I'm walking down, to find a seat. And somebody said, "Hey, I love your coverage of Dalton." I get emails from people all over. Yes, it is a big issue, and she puts herself out there like that because I think she loves the attention. Here's the problem with this story, though. The people in this community, they are losing. They're the ones losing. This is not a well-to-do community.
Yeah.
They can't afford any mismanagement of funds. This is not Chicago.
Yeah.
And so that
we can't afford it either.
Right. Well,
I was gonna say the people in Chicago can afford it. Oh, they got millions of dollars. Let's just milk them.
This kind of attention.
Well, I need to know, what are these meetings like? Because you are always there.
Well, the boyfriend came for you. Her boyfriend came for you. What did that feel like?
Well, keep in mind, I was invited to this meeting on Saturday. went to this meeting. I was the only reporter there, and her boyfriend started to attack me personally.
Verbally.
Yeah.
Verbally, yes.
Right. And I stood there and I accepted everything he said, directed at me and at the media, because I'm doing a job. There's a reporter. I'm covering the issues, covering what's happening. I've not made anything up. What we know is there's a federal investigation going on.
That's a fact.
That's a fact. There were 3 subpoenas served asking for a slew of records, financial records related to Tiffany Henyard and her boyfriend. I'm just covering what is going on. So I'm very transparent in what I've been doing and trying to get some answers for the community.
Regina, what will we learn in this documentary?
What we learn in this documentary, I think it's going to be an eye-opener. I think you're going to learn a lot about what led up to Vegas, what allegedly happened in Vegas, what's going on now, but also about a community that wants answers. And in an area where there's not a lot of media attention, it was the community that brought this issue to us.
And
What happens in Vegas don't stay in Vegas, huh? What happens in Vegas don't stay in Vegas.
backtrack a little bit about Vegas for us. What happened in Vegas? You took town funds to go to Vegas, or what happened?
There was a taxpayer-funded trip in Vegas of last year.
Well, what does she need? Why does that have to do with Dalton mayoral business? I'm just wondering.
I mean, there are conferences that happen all over the world for mayors to go to and whatnot.
She wanted to go there for a business conference, to attract different grocery stores to that community.
Okay.
She took 13 people on the conference, including her former assistant, a young woman who says she was allegedly assaulted by a Dalton trustee. And she says she told this to Tiffany Henyard, the mayor of Dalton. And when she told this to Tiffany, she says Tiffany told her this could ruin my entire career. And she was later fired. And now she's filed a civil lawsuit.
Wow. How long is the doc?
Wow.
It's an hour long. But you know what?
You need an hour.
You
need an hour.
This is a story that keeps evolving, keeps growing. Every day you learn something different. And so we need to add more. There's going to be a part 2, 3, 4.
Okay. This is going to be a series. All right. Thank you so much.
Good work,
Regina. Great
out
work.
there.
Crazy. This lady, people are extremely interested in this story. And I'm interested in kind of fast forwarding to the end, quite honestly. I want to know about the end of this story. Where are we going with the end of this? And it's really getting kind of boring to me. Obviously the investigation, this was recorded. This was just a couple of days ago, right? This was 4 hours ago that I get this 4 hours ago. So, it's not really news to me, but I want to fast forward to the end here to just see, is this lady going to jail or what's up with this? So, all right. So we're going to take another look at another story here. And this is from a woman who falsely accused Duke lacrosse players of rape in 2006, publicly admits she lied. Now, this is not, why this is all over the internet, I don't know. People are just doing things for clicks and likes. And again, this is from December 13th. This is from 3 days ago. The woman who in 2006 falsely accused 3 Duke University lacrosse players of SAing her, making national headlines that stirred tensions about race, class, and privilege of college athletes, has publicly admitted for the first time that she made up the story. Crystal Magnum, who is Black, said in an interview with Let's Talk with Kat podcast, said she made the whole thing up about white players to attend the party where she was hired as a stripper because she wanted validation from people and not God. This sounds like more is just not taking accountability. I testified falsely against them by saying that they essayed me when they didn't, and that was wrong. Magnum 46 said in an interview which was released Monday. The interview was recorded last month at the North Carolina Correctional Institute for Women, where Mangum is incarcerated for fatally stabbing her boyfriend in 2011. Now, if I wanted to read this because if memory serves me correctly, one of the things that talked about, she was convicted of second-degree murder, 2013, eligible. She killed her former boyfriend, Mangum, because she was curious about and Mangum wrote back saying she wanted to talk. If this story serves me correctly, if my memory serves me correctly, when they tested her, when they tested her, right, fell apart under legal scrutiny here. When they tested her, did the sexual assault test, I believe she had three or more semen samples in her. If my memory is serving correctly, I certainly don't want to mischaracterize this. So here's the case here. You can read this in the Gainesville Sun and how the Duke lacrosse case imploded. And this is from 2007. You can read that from case was from, I can't highlight this here, but from 2007. You all can read through that case, read through this, but it, somewhere in here it says that the guys did not wear condoms and they all ejaculated in her for 30 minutes or however many it was. Not to diminish at all those who have gone through this type of thing, and that's what makes this so heinous, as having investigated these type of cases and knowing the trauma that people go through and all that kind of stuff, right, from the victims and even the falsely accused. They go through a lot of victimization and trauma and all that. So it's unfortunate that she did this, and it's unfortunate this is all being dredged up again. They obviously the players got, or these three of them got some kind of monetary compensation from Duke and all that kind of stuff, but it's really just sad and unfortunate. So that's that case. Let's see here. Let me close some of these tabs here. I'm not exactly sure as to why this has come up. Why this has come up. I was going to play a story about it, but I don't think it's worth playing. I just don't think it's worth playing. This woman lied about it. We all knew that she lied about it in 2007. As this case comes out, and why this is resurfacing now because she's finally admitting it. Okay, well that's not a story to me. So, all right, I'm just going to leave it off there. That's my thoughts about it. Reforming the criminal justice system. Got to take a look at that. And of course, Super Mayor is getting her own documentary. She really should get a movie, and somebody should play her wearing a bad wig. Who would I get to play her? Who's this? Who would I get to play her? I would get Kerry Washington to play her. That's why that would be my vote to play her in a movie. Let's see if we can get Kerry Washington to sign up for her, to be honest. Anyway, that's my show for today. Thank you so much. You got a story you want me to talk about? Send it to me. Got my food in the background here. So much love and peace, everyone.